We missed this guy. He was not here last week. It is time for Mike McCarthy, brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. And Coach is joining us now. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning there, Sentimental Sean. I miss you too.
Oh, I love that.
Coming in soft. Can't wait to hear what's coming next.
Now, look, we haven't grilled you, I don't think, for a long time. I think 12-win seasons.
Not much to complain about.
Not much to complain about, man. So there's been no discomfort between us this year, I don't think.
Yeah. So far, yeah, I think it's been good.
Yeah. So far. Look at that. Just like Coach looking at all the angles.
I'm feeling great about the future. So I think we'll be able to keep this pace.
It's great to have you back on, Coach. What has this past week been like for you and the guys, given the Demar Hamlin situation?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's you're talking about tragedy, and so obviously it definitely leaves a mark. And but I'm proud of our players and our staff and how we've responded just from our perspective. But I think the one thing to be noted is, I mean, what a blessing, and you think about the power of prayer, and just to hear the good news coming out of Cincinnati of Damar's situation. I know it was a bit of uplifting for us as a football team yesterday, because everybody's totally engaged with his progress. There's some personal relationships on our team with Demar, and so it's awesome to see him making progress, and I clearly understand he has a ways to go, but it's been an experience, and but I really like the way our players have opened up the conversation and are dealing with it. I mean, it's not natural for grown men to talk about these types of things, and I think it's been an experience that our football teams has handled as well as it could be. Were
you watching this live Monday night?
No, actually, I was not. I didn't see it live, and I actually received a phone call about it, and then just like everybody, just was watching the aftermath, and was on the phone with some individuals just to check in on our players, because I knew they were watching it. So yeah, it definitely is definitely something that I think none of us will ever forget, and it'll be one of those moments you'll know exactly where you were. And but the most important part is Demar is making improvements.
And how about the medical teams, Coach? This is something we've never had this, so we don't talk about it, and we probably overlook and don't give them enough credit. Like yesterday, it was just hitting me with the physicians giving the update and giving praise to the CPR on the field and the response time and the minutes and seconds that were at play. I mean, you guys have an operation in place, and you obviously know more about it than us. I mean, what can you say about the medical plans and the medical attention that's in place for these types of things that saved his life?
Oh, it's incredible, and it's obviously was a key in us getting to this point. And if you've ever been around it personally, I mean, what you talk about, I don't want to call it performing, but just to be right on top of your responsibility in that moment. I mean, it's remarkable that they were able to do what they did in response time, and it's obviously is a key part in him having an opportunity to recover.
Coach, was there any discussion around the players, amongst the players, of them on your team of not wanting to even play this weekend?
That not that I've been engaged with, but just like anything. When we got in the room together, the biggest thing is I wanted them to open up and make sure that talking about what's on their minds, and from the feedback that I've been involved with, I feel like that's going on, and at the end of the day, we had a pretty, I'm gonna say, a normal Thursday, and as far as the quality of work on the field, and the players are engaged. So I think we're making progress and completing a week of preparation.
Mike McCarthy here on the Fan. Coach, in all your years of experience with the playoffs and heading into postseason, we always try to figure out the formula for who's going to win it all. Is it the hottest team? Is it the healthiest team? Like, what is on Mike McCarthy's criteria list of the most important things to end the regular season with heading into the playoffs for a championship contender?
Well, I mean, it's really the connection of of those variables and two of them that you talked about. I mean, health is important because if you're not healthy, then now your challenges, particular potential matchups that you wouldn't have to be as focused on if you were healthy. So I think stating obvious, but the health, the flow, the confidence of the team, I think all those things play into it. And I think the way these playoff teams match up, the importance of one phase, offense, defense, or special teams over another, and just got to be on top of your game and really play to what you've built over these 17 games. But yeah, I'm huge in the ebb and flow and pace of operation, mind speed, and all those things because it's time to go play your best football game. I mean, that's why I've always just admired the Olympic athletes. They train 4 years for that that one moment. And that's really what playoff football is.
Coach, what's your philosophy on scoreboard watching? Like in the middle of this game, are you keeping an eye on what Philadelphia is doing? Will you let that impact playing time if they're up by 3 scores in the second half?
Well, I just you just made me think of a kind of a funny memory, but
what's the memory?
Well, it's the Super Bowl, but I think it. When you go into other stadiums, I mean, they show the scores of the game. So I mean, I can sit here and say don't watch the scoreboard. And I've also been part of this situation where we didn't we were playing at home. I just said don't put the score on the scoreboard because you want the players to stay into the game. So I've seen it both ways, but I can remember when we were playing in the Super Bowl, and it's I think it was first time in AT&T Stadium, and so you're trying to get the team ready for the game, and I was like, no, hey, make sure you're focused because I'm told they got this this unbelievably huge jumbotron in there, and I said I don't want anybody staring at the damn board. Stay in the game. Let's making a big point of it. And so we get out there for the game and the national anthem, just the way they had it set up. I'm sitting there like looking at the jumbotron, watching the national anthem, and I can hear some guys giggling. I look down and there's like 3 or 4 players laughing at me. They're like, I thought we weren't supposed to look at the board. So I can't see what's going on. So, but yeah, I mean it's part it's part of it. I'm not going to make a huge deal out of it, but we're going in to win a game, and I think it's something about this league. It's so damn hard to win a game, and that's so true. It doesn't matter what week you're in. I mean, there's always motivation for both teams in a game, regardless of your record, regardless of your situation. There's always personal motivation that can bring a group together and to go win a football game. And I believe that. I've seen it happen over and over again. So we just need to stay totally engaged, and we're going to have 48 guys, on the game day roster, and we need to use those 48 to go win the game.
Do you know, I'm not asking you to name them, but do you know all the different scenarios, or do you, like Ron Rivera caught some heat for apparently not being aware? Can you keep track of that stuff? Do you like keeping track of it, or it's just like simplify it or don't tell me at all?
Well, I think a lot of it's, in just my view, I think it's wasted energy because 2-way ties or 3-way ties and all that. And I love numbers. I'm a numbers person. But yeah, I'm totally aware. I mean, it's just we're the 5, or if we get help, we can move up to the 1 or 2. So I mean, that's it's pretty cut and dry for us. So I mean, at the end of the day, we can only control get the 13th win, and everything else will take by the time we get back to the locker room, we'll have probably all the information we need.
Mike McCarthy joining us here, 105 through the Fan. Okay, so we've been discussing Daks' aggressiveness and his turnovers a lot lately. Do y'all put turnovers in different, like interceptions that are, like the one that was in Tennessee.
Choppy wants the league to reorganize interceptions. Like some of these where it's tipped off of someone, it goes, like, it shouldn't be counted towards the quarterback, but all these shows, not us, because, we're us.
We're smart.
They're going ahead and blaming Dak, and it's a big narrative that's still out there.
Yeah, and I like to call, like, non-quarterback interceptions. Like, do y'all, like, when you're, like, evaluating, do you put those in different categories, or do they all kind of go into one bucket?
No, it's done categorically, but it's because at the end of the day, it gives you specific information on how do you improve, and it's frankly, it's been the same systematic grading scale that I've been a part of since 1989. I mean, you have decision interceptions, and you break down the other criteria, and so and you coach off it. But it's just like anything. I mean, statistics are good indicators on what to take a closer look at, and that's how because the only true statistics that are absolute are wins and losses. It's and you either take care of the ball or you don't. You either take it away or you don't. So I mean, there's not a whole lot that that just completely tells the story. There's always coaching components inside of each statistic, and that's clearly the case in the interceptions. RJ, I'm so impressed with the detail of your evaluation. If you want to jump in here on the league level and get this thing fixed,
he's an expert at trying to deflect blame, Coach.
Yes,
that's why he loves this. He just doesn't want to accept any blame ever.
Oh, okay, accountability issue, huh? I wouldn't have thought that.
I have huge accountability problems. Okay, huge problems. But I just, I hate when they just kind of all put it on the quarterback when, it could be any number of factors that nobody outside, the organization knows. Nobody knows what the play is. You do, but the rest of us don't. I always found it unfair a little bit.
Well, and I think it's like anything. It's clearly, that's why it's clearly the hardest position to play in football. Maybe you could make the argument it's the hardest position to play in all sports. So, and that's a big part of it. And, because there's always teaching moments and things to look at that, emphasize particularly an individual component of your training when you're evaluating interceptions or any negative play, because it's obviously you don't want it to happen again, but make sure you're on top of the why. It's if the receiver drops the route, drops the ball on a good route, there's a potential why to it. So, and at the end of the day, it takes two to connect on any route. So the guy throwing it and the guy catching it. So it's just you just got to stay in tune with those and keep training, and you'll definitely come out on the other side, has been my experience.
Is the Sam Howell prep similar to Dobbs last week, with kind of a midweek or late week decision to have to go and dig up some old college tape? Or how have you guys prepped in regards to that, and what have you seen from Sam Howell?
Yeah, very similar. I thought our personnel department did a nice job, earlier in the week, and then Dan and the defensive staff were, they were all over it, as soon as the news came out. So there was some anticipation just so that the prep was done, and every snap that he's put on video, we have access to it. So just to get his play style and his mannerisms and the type of player that he is at that position, that's always good information. But I've been impressed with the efficiency of their offensive production. I mean, you look at the way they distribute the football. I mean, their perimeter groups is as good as anybody we've played all year. So I mean, this will be a heck of a challenge, and I'm sure they're going to do things that play to Sam, but also you got to be ready for some aggressive opportunities that they may take against, especially early in the game.
Last thing, Coach, is there any way you could have imagined what T.Y. has brought? And it feels like everything is coming at huge moments, third down, fourth down. I mean, is there any way you could have imagined the type of impact T.Y. Hilton has immediately brought?
Oh, it's been awesome. It really has. I mean, it's just, when the player comes into your programs, especially that late, I don't think I've ever had that experience before. And so your first experience is to see his professionalism, just the around the clock, approach to learning the offense, and then the second thing is the connection that he established with the quarterbacks to get the timing and rhythm down, and then stating the obvious is, for him to go in and make huge plays in games, just just for the short list of opportunities. So yeah, he's been outstanding in his short time here. Good
to have you back. Glad the good vibes have continued. Have a safe trip, and we'll do it again next week, Coach. We appreciate it as always.
All right, appreciate it, gentlemen. Have a good weekend.
You too, sir.